Hey guys, I wanted to hop on here just for a second. I don't have a ton of voice because I don't know. My cousins came and I can't really speak. I talk too much. It always happens. But I wanted to talk really quickly about this full moon because it's a whopper, and I wanted to tell you guys a few key points so that you can really make the most of it. And if you do like this stuff, if you do like me to talk about astrology, consider joining my Patreon, because I've got 2 classes coming up actually as a thank you to you guys for assisting me in healing. I created a $1 tier so that I could thank you guys for all of your help and healing as I'm going through this health stuff. So we are going to do, like, in the next 3 weeks, like a general class, and then I'm going to go deep with you guys into my favorite things in your natal chart, which are the lunar nodes and Chiron. So check that out. There's a link in the post if you like, if you're interested in taking those 2 classes. And we're going to get started, okay? So there's the Hunter's Moon. That traditionally is, it's basically a time when, before the Industrial Revolution, which is really when capitalism got its rocks off and everything changed. Before the Industrial Revolution, we were super cyclical. We were much more tuned and much more driven by the regular and natural cycles of our planet, like night and day and the seasons, right? And this moon, this Hunter's Moon, was well known for being the time when the natives would take great pains to basically hunt and gather and collect to get ready for winter. So whenever there's a Hunter's Moon like this, and there are other kinds of moons too, but this is very specific. Whenever there's a Hunter's Moon, just know that whatever work you do, whatever pains you take, whatever self-inquiry you make, this is the best time to do it. And around 6 months from now, you will see the fruits of it. So why put it off, right? Whatever we resist persists, right? It does seem to be a pretty general rule. But I also want to say this: instead of thinking of that as punitive, just don't forget that it is capital Y-U who is arranging all this. So whatever is going on with you, don't shirk from it, don't hide from it, don't purposely forget, because it will come around again, because you insisted upon it. We, our higher selves, architected all these themes we wanted to explore before coming in. So again, whatever is going on right now in this Hunter's Moon, I am urging you, as scary or painful as it may seem, dive in. And because it is happening in the sign of Aries, that is an extra kick in the ass. That is extra evidence that for this moon, whatever your challenge is, they are best met with wise action. Aries is a fire sign. Is a fire sign. It is not yin, it is yang. It is action. And oftentimes it is kind of like a forest fire. Oftentimes it's destruction in order to make room for new growth, better growth, always, right? So again, because this is in Aries, do not shirk from whatever's bubbling up. Trust your higher self, your fractals, and your guides that whatever's coming up right now is meant to and is divinely timed, okay? Not only is this a hunter's moon in Aries, but it's also working with 3 extremely potent planets. This is a bold ass configuration, you guys. And I really want you to challenge yourself to make the most of it. Okay? So this moon, this full moon, this is so awesome. For any of you guys who like kind of know a little bit about astrology, you'll be like laughing with me. But this full Aries, hunter's moon, and Aries, like I said, is a fire sign. But if you want another way of symbolizing it, it's not only a fire sign, it is the sign of the warrior. Little extra perspective. So it is also, it's almost kind of like a joke, but I'm used to it because my whole chart is a joke. So this harvest moon, I'm sorry, hunter's moon. Oh my gosh, this hunter's moon is squaring Pluto and Saturn. So essentially this hunter's moon is like squaring our 2 greatest planetary cheese graters. I'm not gonna lie. My whole chart is predicated on Pluto. So I definitely know what I'm talking about here. So Pluto as an archetype. That's how I like to think these planets, right? And also, guys, also know this. We are not marionettes, and these planets are not puppet masters. But rather it's like as above, so within. And when you understand and you see your natal chart and you look at it in that way, as a tapestry, as an entire and complete story, this will make more sense. But so squaring Pluto, a square is just what it sounds like. The moon squaring Pluto is a position of the utmost tension. That's what a square is. It's the astrological position of the most possible tension. And kind of like with everything spiritual, like look at your own charts. Wherever you have a square, guess what? You are not going to be able to avoid it. The only way to integrate any square, whether it's by transit, like right now, or if it's in your natal chart, is by intentionally integrating it. So as it's squaring Pluto, which again, my chart is like, if Pluto had like a human mugshot, it would be of my face, okay? I'll say that. So the archetype Pluto, for example, gave us the atom bomb. Yeah, that's like, sums it up pretty well, I would say. The Pluto archetype and Pluto's timing gave us the good old no biggie atom bomb. It is the slowest moving body. I want to say planet, but they freaking demoted it to an asteroid, which I find incredibly insulting because my whole freaking natal chart is about Pluto. But it got demoted. So Pluto is the planet capable of causing the deepest and greatest pain. Now, just like with everything else, even the flattest pancake has two sides, right? So the flip side of that, for Pluto, yes, it is the most potent destroyer and the most painful. But on the flip side, it is also the most deeply potent healer. It's an intriguing archetype. The frustrating thing about Pluto does return back to the fact that it is the slowest moving body. So like I had my Pluto square Pluto in 2014. That's when my marriage fell apart. My body fell apart. My body parts were falling out of my body. I thought I was getting early onset Alzheimer's, but it just turned out to be Lyme. You know, like that. That was my Pluto square Pluto. Pluto will kick your ass. Whatever it is you're clinging to, that your highest self knows does not serve, Pluto will kick you in the teeth and then mug you. Leave you on the ground in the fetal position, having took off with whatever it was that was not serving you, that you were not trying to let go of. So we are squaring Pluto. And what that's going to look like in real life, whenever I talk about any planet, or really its archetype, I always speak about it in terms of relationships because that is the medium. Emotions via relationships. That's the medium we've chosen to learn through by coming here to Earth. So what that's going to look like is significant and likely uncomfortable, likely unexpected, and for effing sure, drastic changes in the balance of power, most particularly within your relationships, okay? Now we're also squaring Saturn, which is another cheese grater planet, known for really hard won and slowly learned lessons. Saturn also is usually linked to discipline, order, structure, the passage of time, karma. In certain modalities, it's linked to your father or a father figure. But just like Pluto, it's also an ass kicker. So this Hunter's moon is squaring Pluto. It's also squaring Saturn. So what this is going to look like Well, for me, it's in my first house, for example, which has everything to do with self-identity. So you want to check your chart, of course, but in general, you're going to see areas of insecurity bubble up and demand your attention. You're going to see relationships or areas of your life where you know you have long needed better discipline, better structure, or perhaps even like a teacher or some more guidance. That's going to start bubbling up. With those two squares involved, Pluto and Saturn, I know that kind of sounds like a big pile of crap, but again, every pancake, even the flattest, has two sides. So know that always going in. When something sounds like that, it's just like with the dark night of a soul. We've all had them. They suck more than anything. But at the end of them, all of a sudden, there's 2.0 you. So you hear this, Pluto and Saturn squared. That sounds super harsh, sudden perhaps, and serious. But the upside of it is just as drastic. And this really will be, if you don't purposely ignore it, if you really do go for it, this is really a time for you to face insecurities or fears. Or even like with Saturn, conditioning. You know, maybe your family has certain customs or stuff that you're doing. Maybe you've been, maybe you've technically been in a religion that's felt like an itchy shirt lately. With Saturn especially, you're going to find yourself face to face with these areas that you've been putting off, purposefully ignoring, not wanting to deal with, etc. And if you're like me, there's a lot of them. I am currently sleep training myself like a 5-month-old baby. Yeah. Couldn't figure out why. I'm like, what kind of weirdo wants to stay up till 5 or 6 in the morning? Like, how does that serve me? And Elizabeth Taylor actually answered that one super clearly. We are in the same soul family, which I didn't know until she started coming around. But it was really cool, actually. She made me feel better, actually. She was like, Susan, she's like, you stay up at night. You call yourself a night owl. She's like, that's not accurate. You are usually so filled with fear and anxiety that when it turns night, it's the only time of day that your anxiety naturally drops. And it's true. That is dead on true. Just this morning, case in point, I woke up, ready? To 4 missed calls from my former husband and 6 missed texts with no helpful information, right? Not like this is what it's about. No, just like a straight barrage telling me nothing. 4 calls, 6 texts. That's how I woke up today. That's what Elizabeth Taylor was talking about. That kind of crap doesn't happen at 2 in the morning. So that's why I've been hiding. That's why I've been sleeping like that, and I can't afford it. And so I am, like I said, sleep training right now like a 5-month-old baby. So with Pluto, expect ridiculous shifts in power, usurps even, right? You might come face to face with a person where there's been a historic abuse of power. And with Saturn, you're going to be coming face to face with those areas of your life that you know you've been putting off and that you know require more discipline, more structure, a teacher even. Okay? Now, a good thing here. It's all good. It's all good. I don't mean to say that. I'm just speaking casually. Because my deepest belief, and this is really hard to stick to when you're in the crapper, but my deepest belief is that everything happens for us, not to us. Just so you know, you guys, I can't see your comments. In case anyone's written me, because Verizon has not gotten their crap together. So I am so sorry, by the way, if anyone's written. I can't see anything. I will afterwards, though. I don't even know what to say. It's just so ridiculous. But anyway, good news here. There is a trine. And a trine, I told you that a square is the position of the utmost tension. It's a shit show, really. A trine is the opposite. It's a little patch of butter. You look in your chart, you got trines, that's like butter. Well, kind of. It's a very great position. It speaks of harmony and ease and bringing out the best in whatever two bodies are trying. However, a trine in particular also must be activated. It must be acted on. Versus there's another, like a quincunx, which sounds really weird. Like that, for example, it's in the trine family. It's like a trine cousin. But it does not need to be acted upon. It is simply like already there and in motion. But looping back to the fact that it's an Aries, which is that fire sign, the warrior, action, movement. I already told you that's the theme of the whole thing. I should have just titled this whole life that Nike slogan, just do it. Maybe I'll change it when I get off. So that's what's going on right now. Like I said earlier, this really is a bold ass configuration. And as always, I want you to make the most of it. So I've told you what to expect. And the number one thing to remember, no matter what happens, because it's happening in Aries, the correct response to whatever it is to take wise action on it. Now, in general, like if you go around town on Google or whatever, you know, I don't love this, but they'll be like, well, this is going to be the easiest for fire signs because it's happening in Aries. Which, I understand, but again, like I said, I don't know. You guys know. I don't like those blanket kind of statements. I just don't. Because also, dude, they're talking about your sun sign. You know, when you read a quiz on the back of Cosmo, that's like your sun sign. Like, oh, I'm an Aquarius, right? Depending on your natal chart, your sun sign may not be the most important placement. They don't talk about that a lot. So to say like this is going to be the easiest for fire signs, unless they've seen all your charts, that's an impossible statement. Do you know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know. You know what it is? I just don't like rules, especially with this kind of stuff, because how in the heck are you going to put a rule on any of this? It's impossible. But knowing the full tapestry, the full story of your natal chart does help. Like I said, my Saturn is in my first house, which is of self-identity. And gee, me and my dad been having it out since before ancient Egypt, trying to explore that power over, power under. I have a double grand fire trine. That's technically a kite, because those two grand fire trines have a pipe releasing all that energy. And guess what's sitting on top of that pipe that's called a kite? Guess what's on there? No big deal. But on that bottom part, where all that energy of those double fire trines are on my chart, it's directed and released downward to a point on my chart. I am not joking for any of you who know astrology. It truly is ridiculous. To a point that has both Pluto and my North Node on top of each other. Your North Node, along with Chiron. But your North Node is your ultimate pain point. Your ultimate, you came here to get your ass kicked so you could learn that. So I got my North Node sitting on top of atomic Pluto. As the release valve for two grand fire trines. So you can see then why I carry the Phoenix archetype. It's that interesting. I love you guys though, and I hope this helps. All of this is always good because it is always transformative. So whatever you read, I always say this, I don't care. The first second you hear somebody being like, oh my God, the sky's gonna fall because Pluto's involved. Dude, if it wasn't for Pluto, I'd still be married to someone who I can't say all that stuff out loud. It's not appropriate. Pluto might kick you in the teeth and mug you, but it only does so to save and resurrect your entire life. And same with Saturn. Saturn is that planet that seems stern, but rather it's really just ensuring a deep yet slow and hard-won mastery. It's all good. But just like a dark night of the soul sucks when you're in it. Once you're through it, you'd never return it because you've been reborn. Now, this is nowhere near, not even like 50 football fields close to a dark night. I'm just using it as an example because I'm sure there will be widespread panic because Pluto and Saturn are involved. I'm sure people will be like, hey, break out the canned goods and go buy your gallons of water. Yeah, that's cool. So no need for that. And I love you all. And I hope you're still doing the 7-day mental diet. And I'm really grateful that Louise Hay gave us this out, that we don't have to reset to day 1 every time we mess up. I'm gonna be honest. I love you guys so much. And if you love this, join me on Patreon. We're gonna do a general class, and then we're gonna do basically what I do in my Phoenix readings. Your north and south nodes of the moon also speak to your gifts and challenges of your past life. And then also your Chiron, which is another great pain point, which uncovers your greatest mastery. And like I said before, like most people would probably laugh me out of the room for having created a reading out of those 3 things. They're so not major or whatever. I'm like, well, to every light worker I've known, to every spiritual warrior I've known, your north and south node and your Chiron would have saved you decades of therapy. It did me. I was so shocked when I learned those of my own chart. That is literally why I created the Phoenix reading. I had never had, not even a therapist, shed such meaningful light on my life than the information granted by my nodes and my Chiron. So I hope you enjoyed this. And again, I'm so sorry if you wrote anything. I can't see a damn thing. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I hope you enjoyed this. Love you guys so much. Bye.